It's wonderful to be here and an honor to celebrate all of the brilliant things that the students do to contribute to the university. I'm going to start by saying that Keele is the best university in the world. I know that's a sweeping statement, and if uttered outside of our little bubble, people might say, Keele who? But based on my experience, I feel very much entitled to say that. Keele's had such a profound impact on the person that I've become that I can't help but hold it in very high regard. And that's probably why I was invited, because it's basically free advertising. Now, it doesn't mean to say that I think Keele is perfect in every single way possible. My journey has had brilliant highs and very low lows, but these are all things that have influenced me and empowered me to become who I am today. I hope the things that I learned since coming to Keele 6 years ago can inspire you this evening to commit to the journey and make the most of every moment. Because in doing that, you're actually crafting your own future. I'm going to start with a bit of context and tell you about myself, my time at Keele, and the 5 lessons that I feel I've learned along the way. Now, as you probably guessed from my American accent and that introduction a few minutes ago, I'm originally from Romania, from the region in the middle called Transylvania that you may have heard of. But don't worry, you're not putting yourself at risk by being in the same room as a vampire after dark, because we're actually quite friendly. When I left home and headed for Keele, I really thought of it as my one chance, my springboard that would launch me into the life I'd always dreamed of. And I was really determined to make it count. I'd picked my HR and international business degree thinking it would land me an impressive job with an impressive multinational. First class honors, graduate scheme, management position, that was the plan. But in the meantime, I really wanted to get involved with as much as possible. I wasn't sure which extracurricular activities would look best on a grad scheme application, so my philosophy was cram in as much as I possibly can, because some of it has to be useful then. The world is so full of rich diversity, and personal growth depends very much on how we allow ourselves to experience that diversity. The more we experience other points of view, other cultures, other activities, the more our horizons will expand. And I really think it makes us better humans. Humans capable of dealing with even the oddest of situations. I was actively equipping myself for the unknown challenges that I really wanted to face head on. So please bear with me while I list some of the things I signed up for. Tennis, only to find out that I had shocking hand-eye coordination. Ballroom dancing, because that's what all the cool people were doing. The entertainments department, because drawing and painting decor for all the different theme nights used to get you free entry to the union. I went to a bunch of Model UN meetings until I felt like everyone there was a lot smarter than me and that I really needed to improve my geography skills. I took a TESOL elective that taught me to teach English, you know, in case the whole kick-ass multinational job didn't work out. I worked as a student guide for open and visit days, and of course I signed up for study abroad and later became a peer advisor, where I met some of my most favorite of people. I got a casual contract and became a simulated patient, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically watching really stressed out med students get assessed on their ability to extract medical history from whatever moody, uncooperative character I was told to play that day. I got my first job on campus supporting a student with limited mobility who's now a really good friend of mine. And I attended pretty much every single employability event that the careers team put on. Sure, it's a bit awkward when you're the only first year in the room and it's all just people who are about to graduate and employers, and you don't know any of the jargon, and you've literally bought your first pair of dress trousers that day. But at least I was keen and learned how to network, I guess. As many societies, as many activities, as many forums, and networking events as I could physically attend. I only opted out of the Cow Milking Association because I didn't have any time, but everything else I gave a go. With the valuable addition of hindsight, I'm able to share with you some of the things that I learned along the way. First of all, Knowing what you don't want to do is just as important as knowing what you do want to do. And this is actually one of the most important things I've learned in life in general, and I tell people all the time if they'll listen. A couple of years ago, I wanted a new professional challenge. I wanted to climb that salary ladder, and I wanted the opportunity to regularly travel. So I took a job as the international sales and marketing manager for a local company. They had customers all over the world, so I got to travel. I went to Mumbai and Hamburg and places in the US and Switzerland, and I love those memories, and I will cherish them. But the thing that it taught me, and I took away most, was that I didn't want to devote myself to a career that was focused primarily on selling. Yeah, I was good at it, and it offered the perks I thought I really wanted. It equipped me with skills that I use all the time, but the most important thing it gave me was a certainty of what I absolutely didn't want to do. It was exactly what I needed to give me the confidence to move over to the voluntary sector. Reflect on the things that you don't enjoy. Learn to pay attention to what doesn't give you any satisfaction. And know which doors to avoid opening in the future, because it will save you time and energy, and may steer you into discovering what you're actually meant to be doing. Don't be discouraged if you haven't found out what your dream destination is yet. Goalposts change all the time. And what you're going through right now might just be a very practical process of elimination. Second, it's not about being perfect. It's about effort. And when you bring that effort every day, that's when change starts to happen. There's something really empowering and comforting in knowing that you've put the work in. At least there is for me. Regardless of the outcome, you will have at least tried. And when those moments come and you're tempted to say, I should have, I would have, I could have done this, you'll be able to say, I did. And then this happened. I put the work in, and this is what I've learned. You'll be left with something constructive to build on. It took me a year of putting effort in consistently to realize that the reason I wanted a career change was because there was a deeper need there that I needed to fulfill, not because I hadn't tried really hard to become good at something. That year of effort and reflecting helped me to decide that I wanted to move into the voluntary sector. I wanted to make a difference to people's lives. The paycheck and the travel, yeah, they were great, but they stopped being my main criteria. The goalposts changed while I was putting in the effort every day. Third, and this is probably my favorite, the joy is in the journey. I have a coaster on my desk that reminds me of this, and it makes me think back to my time as a peer advisor, when the international office was still in Walter Moberly. You didn't have to climb up the hill. We spent about 8 hours trying to film a fun video introducing ourselves to the students and getting across to everybody that they absolutely have to come and see us if they're considering study abroad. There were 7 of us in total, so there were lots of ideas about how we were going to make this video the best video in the world. We must have done 100 takes in the end, and we were really hungry and delirious by the end of it. And after the first few hours, you could tell we all just wanted to be done. But there were so many moments of unadulterated joy that day that remain branded in my mind. Find joy in doing something for the first time. Find joy in realizing that you have something in common with the person sat next to you in your lecture. Find joy in thinking of the perfect caption for your Instagram photo. Or find joy in bonding with someone in the kitchen over somebody else's awful cooking. There's joy in every moment, and letting it be overshadowed by all the busy work around us is frankly a crime, so don't let it happen. Fourth, be brave. Even if you're not, then pretend to be, because nobody can tell the difference. For some reason, ever since I was young, I used to be terrified of phoning people that I didn't know. This was anything from booking a taxi to calling up a venue to ask for their opening hours. Yeah, it was an irrational fear, but a real fear nonetheless. And that fear stayed with me while I was at uni. But why am I telling you about this? Well, when I was a student guide, opportunities often came around for additional work within the admissions team. And of all the things that I could have done, what did I end up doing? Work on the clearing phone lines. I was scared that I might not understand somebody's accent, especially since I wasn't from here. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to find the information they wanted quickly enough, and I thought that I'd be terrible. So my only choice was to pretend to be the most confident person in the room, and to just take it one call at a time. I look back now, and I realize the impact of those 2 days of clearing work. They helped me to be confident years later in my first proper grown-up job here at Keele. A big part of my day was interviewing and coaching graduates over the phone and speaking to company directors about the internship scheme and convincing them it's definitely worth a shot. And those calls were actually integral to me being able to do my job. I ultimately managed to conquer that fear. This came years later, after pretending to be brave on calls to the head of purchasing for German Navy warships and impatient heads of material research for the US submarine build program. Pretending to be brave worked. Because even if you're not brave by nature, what's the worst that could happen if you put on a show? Lastly, and you've probably heard this one many times before, but it's so true. Connections will benefit you for years to come. I met my best friend in the world during my first week at Keele. I got my first grown-up job working on the Keele internship scheme from just chatting to somebody over lunch at a careers event. I got my second job while I was out at a networking event. And some of the best, most wonderful people that I've met in my life, and I see regularly, are people that I met when I was a peer advisor 5 years ago. The connections I made from all of my weird and wonderful activities are still influential in my life. In many ways, a degree sets you up for the first part of your career. It makes up the core. But the experiences you gain and the people you meet along the way shape the context. That friendship, that acquaintance, that new connection, it could be the key to the next door you have to open. Now, if you've drifted off in the middle of that speech, which is highly possible according to my sister, who I practiced this on last night, just tune in for this last bit. If I may leave you with this tonight, remember, take time to reflect. Knowing what you don't want is a great source of insight. You don't have to be perfect, as long as you're putting in consistent effort. Seek out the joy in your journey. Don't leave it for when you've reached your destination. And most of all, be brave, or at least pretend to be, because nobody will be the wiser.